Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. We need to have a serious talk about Palantir as well as the SHILLS and the content creators that, regardless of how bad the stock continues to do, are still pumping the crap out of this stock. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First thing I want to say is the point of this video is not necessarily to save everyone, because I understand that with Palantir, there is a real cult. And I can tell you guys exactly what I mean, because you see, last night, I actually did some real research on YouTube, and what I found absolutely amazed me. I found way more Palantir SHILLS on YouTube than I thought existed, to be quite frank. I mean, there's literally like 25 different content creators that all have channels specifically geared towards Palantir. It is the scariest thing ever. It's absolutely insane. But my point in this video, if I could just save one person or two people, or just get them to open their eyes and wake up, then I will have considered my mission to have been accomplished in this video. Because again, I know this is a legit cult, no doubt about it. Like, no matter what you say, these people in the Palantir cult are set in their ways that this stock is going to be the next 30x, which is the craziest thing in the world. And I'm going to explain to you why in this video. Okay. So first, let's get into this, right? Obviously, Tom Nash has been on my channel a few times. Amit has actually been on my channel too, and he debated this guy named Foothead, and that was actually a very funny debate. Amit literally built his entire channel. And he's even said this. He's even said this in an interview. He literally built his entire channel talking about Palantir. Tom Nash, believe it or not, built a large portion of his channel. It wasn't just Palantir, but a large portion of his audience is Palantir cult members. No doubt about it. So you have to understand, guys, why those two people and all the other Palantir people continue to remain positive, even though the stock is down like 70% year to date or something insane like that. It's something like that. And my biggest worry, right, is I don't think you guys are fully understanding what's happening here, right? And I'm not going to call Tom Nash or Amit any names. I don't think that those two or the Palantir SHILLS are in the same boat as Amit, Kevin, or Jeremy. I want to be extremely clear about that, right? But they are SHILLS. They are. No matter what happens with Palantir, they continue to remain positive. They try to find positive things out of the report to make it seem like everything's going to be okay. And it's just this endless cycle of Palantir shilling. It's just this endless cycle of, no matter how bad things are looking, no matter the fact that they're not growing their revenues 30%, like they said, it doesn't matter. They're the greatest. Alex Karp. And this is what scares me the most, because when you talk to the average Palantir shareholder, they have no idea what the company does. I might actually have to like really do that. Y'all know those videos where people go out in a suit and start talking to random people? I might actually have to do that. Like, are you a Palantir shareholder? Yes. Can you explain to me what Palantir does? Like, I might have to go to like downtown Chicago where there's a bunch of people and find it. That would be so funny. But anyway, guys, it just really worries me. It really does. And you got to understand, Tom Nash and Amit, they're at a point now where they can't turn on Palantir because they built such a huge audience off of Palantir, which benefits them. Amit's got stuff, you know, I don't know exactly what he's selling. I think he might have a Patreon or something, but I don't know for sure, so I can't say that. But I know he's got a startup, right? So being positive on Palantir is going to drive traffic to your startup, because now people like you because you're telling them what they want to hear. You got all these Palantir bag holders who bought it at $20 and $25. And now they're just drinking the Kool-Aid. They're just hopeful. They're really hopeful that this weird space alien cowboy bebop looking dude with the spiky hair who's the CEO is going to save the day. And every time I talk to a Palantir person, you know what I get? Oh my God, they helped capture bin Laden back in the day. They're helping with the CIA over in Ukraine and Russia and all that stuff. They're doing all this stuff overseas that nobody knows. Yeah, that's the problem. Nobody knows. You know, Palantir, a lot of what they do is secret. You don't even know fully everything that they do. And then the other part to it is saying that they helped find bin Laden is not an investment thesis. It cannot be denied that the share-based compensation has been insane. It cannot be denied that you got all these people within the hierarchy of Palantir that have been selling. Alex Cart was selling. Matter of fact, in 2020, Alex Cart was the highest paid person from stock-based compensation. The highest paid. He made $1 billion of stock-based compensation. It is absolutely insane. Like, can you guys really not see what this CEO is doing and the fact that he's playing you? I mean, for crying out loud, the company's been unprofitable for 20 freaking years, but they have a good balance sheet. Oh my God, what does that mean? The company's not prioritizing profitability. Yes, that's what that means. If you've been unprofitable for 20 years and your balance sheet looks as good as it does for them, they're not prioritizing it. Why? Now that, I'll be honest, I don't know. Now let me talk about all these Palantir shills. So you got Tom Nash. I don't know if Sansa Janssen is a Palantir shill anymore. I think he actually sold and left the code or whatever, which if that's true, good for him. I don't watch the channel at all, so I wouldn't know. But I've heard things from the grapevine, so that's what I think. Obviously, you have Amit, who probably is actually the number one, even though he doesn't have as big of a following as Tom Nash. I'd say Amit is probably the number one biggest Palantir shill I've ever seen in my life, and it's scary. I mean, for crying out loud, if you want to see a red flag, the fact that this guy has admitted that he's got about 70% of his portfolio in Palantir, which again is an unprofitable company, which means you're exposing yourself to an insane amount of risk, that should give you the red flag and tell you that this guy doesn't know what he's doing, okay? Because you see, even the people on Wall Street, even the big boys, for the most part, don't have more than 10% of their capital in an individual stock. Why do they do that? Well, you see, folks, stocks are extremely risky. You see, even stocks that you think are great don't always pan out the way you think. I mean, for crying out loud, look at the collapse that happened with Netflix or Facebook. Facebook is the lowest performing S&P stock, the lowest. It's down like 70% year to date. It's absolutely insane. And I'm here to tell you guys, Facebook is actually a good company. But when you got a CEO that screws things up, your stock gets punished. And that's what's happening. How do we know that same thing can't happen to Palantir? And my main point in all this is why you never hold too much of your money in one stock, because anything can happen. You always want to balance your portfolio. So when I listen to channels that only pump and shill and talk about one stock, that tells me everything that I need to know. That is a huge red flag for anybody that has 70% of their money in one stock. And here's the other part that I need you guys to understand. This is the other reason why these guys don't have all their money in one stock. Because once you have 70% of your entire net worth in one stock, you start to get emotional when the stock price falls. I mean, how could you not? 70% of your net worth is in one company. So if that company starts stinking it up or poo-pooing all over the place, or the CEO does something crazy, that affects your net worth significantly because you have too much of your money in that stock. So to the few people that I can hopefully wake up with this, you have to go. This is what I need you to do. I need you to go read a finance book. Maybe go read John Bogle, or go read one of Warren Buffett's books, or read Benjamin Graham. I just need you to read one finance book. Once you're done reading that one finance book, because I guarantee most of you guys who are in this Palantir code haven't read a finance book, and that's okay. I'm not downing you. I'm not talking down on you or anything like that. I'm just keeping it real, because I need you guys to understand that what these Palantir shows are doing completely goes against the rules of investing. They're not following the fundamentals of investing with this stuff. They're just not. And you have to be careful with that, because as we saw with Facebook and Netflix and other stocks, everybody can be on the chopping block. As we say over here where I'm from, anybody can get it. For real, anybody can get it. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter how great you think that stock is. That's why me personally, I'm an S&P guy. But if you think that the S&P is boring and you want higher returns and you want a little bit more risk, that's fine. But putting 70% of all your money in Palantir and following these shills who continuously tell you good things about a stock, while at the same time it keeps going lower and lower and lower. And let me say something real quick, right? Because there's no doubt that there is a cult around Facebook stock. I noticed that. Like, even if you make videos about Meta, you will get way more views than like other videos, because there really is a cult around Facebook. Like, there's a strong group of people who really believe that Facebook's going to be okay and do its thing. But I want to explain the difference, right? Even though there's a cult in Facebook, and there shouldn't be a cult in any stock, but even though there's a cult in Facebook, let me explain the difference. Facebook, without a doubt, it can't even be disputed, is massively undervalued. That's the big difference here. And I would argue that what's happening with Facebook is self-inflicted. There's nothing wrong with the business. Sure, Facebook's not growing that much, fine, but they're still making a crap ton of money from Facebook in the ad business. They're still doing it. And if they just focus more of their money on other things that I think can grow and do well, like WhatsApp, I think Facebook would probably recover at least somewhat. But I think the CEO is being stubborn and going against what investors want and investing billions of dollars into a project that we don't even know what it is. And to be honest with you, probably isn't going to pan out well, to be quite frank. That's the difference. Now, when we go to Palantir, even at this price, analysts are still saying that the stock is overvalued. And believe it or not, it is. It still has a very high valuation, even though it's dang near penny stock territory. So that's the difference. There shouldn't be a cult with any stock. But there is a huge difference. I can understand why there's a cult around Facebook. Facebook is insanely profitable. They are making money like crazy with that Facebook business. They are making money like crazy. They've got a ton of free cash flow, a ton of it. So Facebook's profitable. Facebook's problems are self-inflicted. Facebook has a path to fix it. Here's the difference when you go back into Palantir. Because I want you guys to understand something. Palantir is still overvalued right here. And there's even several articles you could even go look at to do it, to see what's going on. And you could even look at what the analysts are saying about Palantir's valuation. So what that means is, even if everything goes right, even if everything that you guys believe about Palantir goes right, the CEO does everything he needs to do, and Palantir gets all these contracts, and Alex Karp turns into the ultimate godfather of the alien species of Mars. Even if all that happens, Palantir still isn't going to go to the all-time highs. Why is that? Well, it's because even if everything goes right with Palantir, it was so insanely overvalued at that price that it was at, what was it, $25, $30? Even if everything goes right, you might get a 2x from here. Maybe. You might get a 3x. Very unlikely, but you might get a 3x. More than likely, you might get a 2x if everything goes right. That's still below the price that most of you guys bought the stock at. And I think that's what you guys are missing. You guys are comparing this market to the 2021 bubble market, but you got to understand that was a legit bubble. There were no rules. Like, things were just ridiculous during that time. I mean, for crying out loud, go look at stocks like BNGO and Nano Dimension. BNGO went to like $10, $15 during that bubble. Freaking Upstart went to like $500. Tesla went to like $1,200 back before the split. Amazon went to the freaking moon. Nano Dimension, like, remember all those space alien companies that Kathy Wood was buying that were just going to the freaking moon? I can't even think of them right now. There's so many. I don't even know. SoFi went to the moon. Zoom went to the moon. Teladoc, all these futuristic cowboy bebop Black Mirror companies, all that stuff. So now let me go ahead and actually move on to how I feel, okay? Let's go ahead and actually move on. So here's how I feel about Palantir, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. Palantir didn't have the worst quarter ever, but it wasn't good either, folks. There's a reason why people sold the stock. And if you're running with this narrative that, Palantir's earnings weren't that bad, the entire market's just selling off, you need to go seek some help. The market's not stupid, people. There's a reason that stock sold off a little bit, because there are things that these people are looking at that you're not seeing. That's why I said you got to stop following these shills, because what these shills will tell you is Palantir's Q3 revenue grew 22% year over year. Oh my God, what an amazing growth rate. We're in a tough macroeconomic environment, but Palantir still grew 22%. But here's what these shills aren't telling you. Despite the year over year growth rate, Palantir has only grown 1% quarter over quarter. That's a red flag. That's something you need to pay attention to. Now, what else do we got? You see, Palantir said that their Q4 guidance will be between $503 million to $505 million. That is exactly what they said, which is kind of in line with analyst estimates. However, Although this is a jump quarter over quarter, it is. Now we start to see another problem. If their revenue grows 503 million to 505 million for Q4, that implies a year over year growth of 16 to 17%, which represents a further slowdown in revenue growth for Palantir. But what did the CEO say? Oh, we're going to go 30% year over year. Yeah, freaking right. On top of that, folks, GAAP operating margin minus 13%. Commercial revenue is actually down 3% quarter over quarter. I feel like a lot of Palantir shows aren't going to say that. And then they are still spending an insane amount of money on share-based compensation, which, by the way, I don't even understand. Who in God's name would accept Palantir stock in share-based? I wouldn't even want that stock. Just give me cash. Pay me a good salary. I don't want your crappy stock. You guys are down 70%. Why in God's name would I want that stock? But when you look deeply at this earnings report, guys, again, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not saying it is. But it's not great, folks. It's not great. And it's not great. You have to put things into perspective, right? For this earnings report to be so mediocre, that's not justifying a stock that's already still overvalued. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. This needs to click in your head. Now, if Palantir was killing it on the earnings, then I would understand. I'd be like, okay, I can understand the bullishness. But I think people aren't understanding the fact that, like I said, even if everything goes right for you guys, you might get a 2x from here, which is still significantly lower than where you guys bought it at, because you guys aren't understanding. When Palantir was trading at those insane prices, that had nothing to do with the company. It had to do with there was so much money in circulation. People didn't know what to do with it. People were sitting at home with PPP loan money and scam money and unemployment money and EDIL loan money and stimulus check money, and they couldn't go outside. So, oh crap, what do? I got all this money. Do you guys understand that during the pandemic, people were making more money from unemployment because they got that extra $400 a week from the federal government on top of what you get from the state? They were making so much money from unemployment. A lot of people were getting paid more than they got from their job. We know people are really bad at finance and Americans love gambling. Just go look at the gambling company's earnings, right? So what did people do? They turned to the stock market and they started gambling, and that made every single stock go up because there were so many new people that got into the stock market and there was so much money in circulation. You're never going to get that again. You're never going to get that again. So what do you go from here? You have to be more realistic when it comes to these stocks. And I'm going to end the video with this. I know some of you shills aren't going to like it. You're going to be very unhappy, but I don't care. I would not buy Palantir stock unless it goes to $2. I'm being so serious. The only place I would buy Palantir at is $2. I wouldn't even buy Palantir here. Nope, I sure wouldn't. I sure freaking wouldn't. And that's just my opinion. So anyway, hopefully I helped at least one person, maybe somebody. Maybe you're still holding Palantir, but maybe you're going to at least trim it. Maybe you're not going to have that stock make up 30% of your portfolio. Maybe you're not going to fall for these shills who are making you believe that Palantir is going to be the next 10x like Tesla, which for those who don't understand, in the entire history of the stock market, there's only been like a handful of stocks that have ever 10x. Like 10xing is very, very hard. Like you'll be lucky if you double your money in the next 5 years, for those who don't know. But anyway, I think I've rambled enough. Hopefully I helped somebody. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and also subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.